Hey guys, so I've been really addicted to doing needle felt pumpkins, as you've probably noticed if you've watched my live or seen any of my posts recently. But I've almost got them all done. I haven't got a lot left, so I thought I'd do a quick video showing you what I've been up to. So I got this kit given to me by two very dear friends and I've been obsessed with it since. So turn that over, I think. Getting a little dent in there now. So the first thing we're going to do is start with the white fibre. We use the white for the base because white fibre tends to be cheaper than the coloured fibre. So you make the inside part with the white and then you colour the outside part. So to know how big your item's going to be, you're going to want to roll it up nice and tight because it gives a rough idea of what it looks like once it's condensed down. Then you can check the sort of size you're going to have. So that would be about that size, which I think maybe is just slightly bigger than I'm aiming for. So I'm just going to take a little bit off. Okay, we'll go with that. Now I have a lot of these finger protectors because I am clumsy as hell. My hand-eye coordination is not what it used to be, so I wear an excessive amount of finger protection. You don't have to wear all these. I do because I'm clumsy. So I'm going to start with my large needles. I bought these needles now as a separate kit. They didn't come with the actual needle felting kit. The pumpkin kit just comes with the fibre and nothing else, but I already had needle felting supplies. So this 3-1 has the large in, and I'm going to use that to start with. And then this one has a small in, which is what I put the colour on with because it leaves less holes and gives a smoother look. And then this one's got a medium in, which is where I create the grooves of the pumpkin. So if you see me swapping needles, it's purely because I'm doing a slightly different technique and look for that particular section. So I'm just going to roll this up just the same way as you did before when you were testing the size. You just want to kind of roll it in, keep the sides in as neat as possible, fold all your bits round, and then you want to secure those bits in, so you want to felt where the ends are to start with. Now I am very, very new to needle felting. I've had needle felting supplies and kits for a long time. It came with other boxes of craft stuff that I got, but I've never really used them. I only used my needles to felt the middle of my yarn pom-poms so that they didn't fall apart. So when they got me this pumpkin kit, it finally gave me an excuse to do something because I absolutely love pumpkins, and we were coming up to autumn and Halloween, which is my favourite time of year, so I thought I'd do some. I now have 19, this will be my 20th, and looking at there I've got enough to do at least one more, if not two more, which isn't too bad. But yeah, I'm very new, so any hints, tips, techniques that you recommend, then please do share. I'm just showing you what I've been doing to create my pumpkins, because I know the last live I did doing them, some people really enjoyed it, and I thought I'd explain what I was doing. If you haven't caught me doing a live video, I stream from Twitch, but I stream to my YouTube video at the same time. I use some software that allows me to stream to both, so you can always watch me on Twitch or YouTube. I don't have a schedule for when I go live, it just depends on how I'm feeling. I'm hoping to go live later today, to be honest, but it depends how I feel. You really should needle felt down and not to the side, but you notice sometimes I'm naughty and I do. Don't do as I do. Always needle felt downwards because that's much safer, because you know exactly where the needles are going. They're going into the cushion below. If you're interested in puzzles, jigsaw puzzles and computer games that are usually puzzly in nature, I have recently just started a brand new YouTube channel, and I've been moving my puzzles and games from my craft channel over to my new puzzles and games channel, so that I can keep my main channel as my crafts, because it was getting a little harder to try to keep a balance of crafts versus everything else. So I figured I'd move it over so that those who follow me for crafts don't have to get notifications for puzzles and games that they're not interested in. So if you do like puzzles, jigsaw puzzles and games, the channel that I'm just started is Sonia Jones Puzzles and Games, and I have the real-time videos, so hours and hours long, because I am not a speed puzzler, but I have real-time videos so you can puzzle along with me. But I also have the time-lapse versions if you just want to have a quick look at the puzzle and what it looks like when it's done. So do check that out. It will be linked down in the description of this video, and it'll be linked in any remaining puzzle videos that are on my main channel, because I'm not moving them all over, because some of them were sponsored puzzles from the Life of Puzzles, and they sponsored me to have it on that channel with my larger following, so they stay there because I think it'd be rude to move them. So I will have them all linked in multiple places, so do come along and give me a follow if you like. So we're just felting this down until it's ball shape and it all looks to be well felted. We don't want it too hard, but we want it reasonably firm. We will be making it firmer when we put the new colour on top, and then when we create the grooves. So we don't want it absolutely solid, because we'd break the needles if we tried that. But we also want it to be reasonably solid, because we don't want it too soft and squishy when we're trying to do the grooves, because otherwise they won't stand out. If you're seeing a part sticking out, you just have to turn and felt into it. It will felt in the direction your needles are going. So if you put the bump on the top and go down, it will reduce down and become more rounded. As I said, I'm new to this. This is just what I found works for me. You might have better techniques that work, and I'm open to constructive criticism that teaches me how to do things better. But please don't just put things like "you suck," because if you don't like the video, that's fine, that's your choice. Nobody's going to like all the videos, but there's no need to be rude. And you'll be surprised how many people be rude just because they don't like the speed that I've gone, or the colour that I've used, and all this sort of really stupid things. So you can be constructive and help, or you can just enjoy my bad attempts and move on. But I don't think my attempts are too bad. I think I've got better and better as I've gone. And as I said, this is my 20th pumpkin at this point, so I've made a few. And I'm definitely addicted to making them. They're all, for me, they're all up on my shelves. In fact, I've kind of filled the space I had on the shelf, so I'm actually starting to put them around the TV. Right, so I think this is basically ready to start putting colour on at this point. See, so it's firmish, but it's still got a little bit of give on the outside bit, because that will condense down. But if you could feel it, you'd feel that the inside bit's quite firm at this point. So that's what. So we're gonna put some colour on. I've got lots of different oranges here, and I just grab a bundle, and then I kind of blend in together. I use these are actually dog brushes. You could use proper yarn carding brushes, fibre carding brushes, but I find carding brushes too big for my hands, so I actually use these when I'm doing my own fibre for spinning, and they work great because they fit in my hand easier. So we're just going to pile this on. Might need to do it in 2 lots because how much I've got on there, but you want to try to get some of every colour in, and then I can split it off and do it again. So I'm just going to blend it. You could do this by hand, just pulling it apart, but I find this quicker for me. See, as that's condensed down a little now, I can put some more orange in. It's all orange, but you know what I mean, the lighter stuff. And what I got left. And the aim is not to get it fully blended, but just to blend it well enough that it gives some colour variation in the pumpkin, because we don't want to have flat looking pumpkins. Pumpkins, when they're grown, have low lights and highlights, dark and light bits, you know, sort of thing. So just want to blend it through so it has that. I think this will be the last one I need to do. There we go. It'd be easier to do if you took these off, but I'm lazy and I don't want to keep taking on and off. So then we're just going to pull it off. And I separate it down into strips because it is quite thick, and this way round I can manoeuvre it to where I need to around my ball. Doesn't have to be perfect, just roughly done. So then we're going to wrap it around, fully cover it. Now just for this first layer of covering this side and then that side, I'm going to use the big one because that just kind of tacks it all down. And then I'll move to my small one for a smoother look for the outer edges, the outer surface. Again, this is just what I find works. You might find something else works. This is just how I do it because this is what I found works for me. So now we're going to put this layer on here to cover this side of the white. You want to make sure you cover as much as the white as possible and cover it well, because when you start putting the grooves in, the fibre does stretch and shift, and so you have to make sure there's no major white bits, otherwise they will show when you put the groove in. As I said, I'm just kind of tacking it down with the big one, and then when I do the final layer we'll move on to putting it on with the smaller needles so that we don't have such big holes. Don't forget to keep moving your ball around because you don't want to make it flat, because it will go to whatever shape you are felting, it will flatten in the place that you're felting to, so you have to keep it turning in order to make sure that it doesn't become a non-ball and become oval or something. So I think I've got that pretty well tacked down, so now we're going to start wrapping it around again. Stretch that out a little. And we're going to use the smaller needle now to attach this layer so that it's got smaller holes. And you want to make sure you get all over. I kind of stab randomly because I don't want obvious lines in it. So I find stabbing randomly just keeps it more organic looking. And it's not a project that takes particularly long to do. We're, what, 14 minutes in? And we've almost got the colour fully done. Haven't fully got it all down yet because we're just kind of doing like we did before, tacking it in place first to make sure it doesn't move anywhere, and then we can put it all in properly. Gonna fold that down. You want to make sure it's all covering the top as well, because obviously you can't just put stuff around the sides, you will misshape your ball, you have to go all the way around. So if you can hear the banging, next door neighbour's having her fence replaced. Might see if I can pull my door closed a bit and see if that stops the sound. Give me a second. Hopefully that will reduce the banging a little. So you can easily see where you haven't felted because it's just still sticking up. All you want to do is make sure you've got it all down, and also make sure that you can't see any white showing through. Doesn't matter if it's got the odd bit, because you know, little highlights and things would be quite good, but you don't want any big splotches, because when we put the grooves in they will get much bigger. And again, just make sure you're keeping your ball in ball-like shape. It doesn't have to be perfect, this is a pumpkin, but you still want it to look reasonably ball-like, because you will be flattening the top and the bottom slightly when you add the grooves. A little roll, that can just help smooth any edges, help hide any holes, and make sure you're keeping it reasonably ball-like. So I do have an extra small needle which you could go over and make it even less visible holes, but these are for me, so I'm not really fussed about that. And by the time you put the grooves and things in, the holes tend to disappear anyway. So I think that looks pretty good. We look pretty well covered, but I've got a little bit left just in case I need to put anything more on if the hole starts to appear. So now we're going to grab some green for making the lines. Just kind of tease it out. You just want a thin bit you kind of pull out, don't want too much, and then grab your medium needle, pick your top and bottom. Doesn't matter where, it's a ball, but just there will be somewhere that looks like it would be better with the top and bottom. So then you want to just kind of flatten the centre a bit, because when you layer the green in it will make it higher and you don't want a dome. So just put a little dent in there, flip it upside down so that's on the bottom, and do it in the same place on there. Now it doesn't have to be perfect, you can adjust things as you go, but there you go. So I've got them there. I think I've done them both a little to the side. I'm going to move this one to this side a little. Again, the green will fill it in there, so it won't matter if you've got a slightly bigger dent as you move things over. That's a little better. Okay, so now we're just going to lay the green on, about that into the middle a little, and then tease it down so you've just got a little line until you get to the other hole you've created, and then felt it into there a little. And if it's long enough you can bring it all the way back If it's not, don't worry, because you can just add another piece in doing the exact same method. So you can just do there to there and then there to there. You don't need to do it all the way around in one piece. But if you've got it long enough, you might as well. So now we've got it secured on both ends. We're just going to create our groove. We use a green colour. We could use a darker orange. You could use whatever you want. You don't have to use anything, but it's a good guide. It's just it makes it more in depth and darker down there, which you like. We're just going to follow that green along, tacking it down to make sure you've got the line you want. And then once you're sure you've got it where you want it, you just keep felting over it over and over again, and it will felt down. Again, make sure you're felting in the direction you want, which we want this to go down in. And this is, again, just what I found work. I'm sorry. You see how that's creating a nice groove in there now. See the groove it's creating? That will eventually create our sections. You could do one, then go around like that, but I tend to just do opposites. Again, it doesn't have to be perfectly opposite, just where you fancy, because no sections are exactly correct on a pumpkin as it grows. It's organic, so you just kind of work out where you're going, tack it down, and then felt the whole thing down, so you create the next groove. Sometimes I find turning it around so that it's horizontal or vertical can help you see the groove better and get in line. So just turn it whichever way you find is easier. It is important to not move your needle around, just take it up and down when it's inside, because otherwise you will snap it. Which my nephew learnt when he was doing a little bit. I've actually found I find this very therapeutic. My nephew did not. He wasn't keen on the stabbing of something over and over again, which is probably a good thing for him and says a lot about me. But I find it very good for taking your frustrations and stuff out. It's a healthy outlet for your frustration. Okay, so we have two grooves, looking a little more peach-like at the moment because of just having the one groove, but it will become more pumpkin-like as we add more grooves. So again, just grab more of that green, felt it into the top quickly. You're just felting a little bit in, and then fold it around. And back around to the top. And if you've got a bit extra, just tear it off. And again, we're just going to tack it down where we want the line to be, and then go over again. This bit is the bit that takes the longest, to be fair, because you've got to be more careful where you're stabbing to make sure you're getting down the line that you want to get down. When you're doing the outside edge, it doesn't really matter if you go offline because you're going around the whole ball, but when you're doing this bit, you really need to stay as much in line as possible. As you can probably see, mine aren't straight, but it doesn't matter, it's roughly correct. And pumpkins naturally have lumps and bumps anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And that's the thing with these, they're just a bit of fun, they don't have to be exact. It's just a good way to get the shape you want. I find if I need to take a break, I always leave the needle tucked in because it's safer. And you also remember where you got to then. I'm sorry about the coughing. Asthma's doing its fun thing that it does for me. Right, tack this one in place. Whenever I talk, my throat gets drier and it causes me to cough more. If you watch my lives, you'll notice that I always got drinks with me to try to reduce that when I'm on hours long lives. But when I'm trying to do a quick tutorial, well, not really a tutorial, but a quick little video showing what I'm doing, I don't really want to keep stopping for a drink because I lose the flow of where I am. And as we're already at 26 minutes, I don't want this video to become an hour long. And you could spend longer on each section, making the grooves even deeper and stronger, and really shaping it up, but I'm just showing you quickly what I do, and then you can choose how you do it more. But see, that's really starting to become more pumpkin-like now. So, again, grab some more green, tease it out, pick your next section. So I just go down in the middle, just tease that out a bit. Join it there, and then down through the middle of the section we've already done. We're just repeating this process over and over again, so at this point it's reasonably obvious what we're doing. I'll show you doing the whole thing so you can see how it all looks. Got extra there, so we can just tear that off. Make sure it's secure. So again, make sure you got this roughly in the middle, doesn't have to be perfect, and then tack it down. Hopefully you can see how there's still a little give in the outer layer, which allows for the movement for it to do. But if I'd done it completely solid on the outside, we wouldn't have been able to do this groove thing quite so easily, and we'd risk breaking the needle. At least that's what I believe. So I always leave it just a little looser on the outside. The inside obviously is getting harder and more condensed as we go, because more and more fibres being pushed down into it, which is why we don't have the white ball fully solid and only have the inside of the white ball fully solid, which gives us more leeway for moving the coloured stuff down into the white. You could make this whole thing out of coloured yarn if you don't have any white. It just costs a bit more to buy coloured yarn normally, coloured fibre, and so it makes more sense to do it out of the white first. I don't know what fibre this is, but you can needle felt with any fibre that has got some kind of grip to it. So if you wanted to use something like silk or bamboo, you'd blend it with a blue-faced Leicester, or I have merino. And merino works, but it is one of the smoother yarns. you just want to make sure that the yarn is capable of gripping to itself so that it interlocks. That's what the felting is, it's kind of interlocking down. That's my understanding of it anyway. And so you need to make sure it can interlock. Something that's really smooth will be much harder to felt down. And I think you have more leeway with needle felting than you do wet felting. I think it's harder with wet felting because it's just friction and water and heat that causes the felting, whereas these needles have barbs on them which really force the fibres into each other and lock in. We're getting there on this. Okay, so we've just got these two sections to go. I think there might only be enough green here to go one side. I have plenty of green, I can get more out. Let's have a look, see. Yeah, so get a little bit more to do the other side. Tack it in. Doesn't matter if you have little bits of green sticking up, because you will be doing one of these sides with the stalking, so you can just pick which sides work and blend any green bits in with the stalk, or trim them off at the end. There we are, almost done. If you make any and you want to share what ones you've made, feel free to come along to my Facebook group, which is linked in the About Me section on my YouTube channel, and then you can share pictures of what you've been working on in there. And it doesn't just have to be stuff that I've shown you how to do, it can be any craft stuff at all. I just enjoy seeing what people are making. We're almost done here. We're going to do the stalk next. As I said, this bit's the longest bit of it all, getting all of these lines in. I have to change my grip because my hands get tired. The pain clinic would tell me this is when you stop, but I need to get this video done, so I won't stop. I'll just carry on and I can rest after. So there we have our pumpkin shape. So we just need to add a stalk. Again, you just grab some more of this green. Grab a little bit more. Fold the end over a little, just so it's neater, and then give it a little roll. So it's kind of a tube. It doesn't matter if it's a flat tube, you just want to roll up, and then we're going to stab that in. Again, I'm using the small one because we want smaller holes, because this isn't going to have any layers. This is just going to be on its own. Now it will felt into your thing, you just kind of give a little pull, give it a half turn, and go again. You want to make this rounded, so you're going to keep turning it kind of like, I don't know, 45 degrees, a little, about that, just so that you can turn around, because you also don't want to make it square, so you've got to kind of roll it around. And try not to snap your finger. This is why I have so many things on. Always leave a little bit at the end, because that's what we're going to use to join. You see how it's condensed down. You can give it a little roll if you want as well. But it's condensing down into a more solid piece of fabric now. You want it so that it won't come apart when you tug it, basically. And how big you make your stalk is entirely up to you. Mine all got different sizes. So I think that's right. So now you find which end you want to be, which I think this end, and then you're going to lay your spare bit down and then fold it over so that the stalk part sits in the middle, and then you're going to felt that loose bit down. And then turn it around. I do the opposite side first, and then I start working around from there. So you just want to turn a little, felt it down, because you want to make sure you felted it from every angle. So just keep lifting the stalk out of the way, bending it out of the way, so that you don't accidentally felt that down flat. But you want to make sure you've gone slightly up into the stalk area that you made solid and felted that into it, so that way it's very stable. And that's pretty good. There we go. So you could leave it at that, but I always give a little trim. Let's take all these off. So I just basically trim along. I have the scissors basically flat against it, and just trim any long stragglies that get in the way. And you can do that on the stalk and on the actual pumpkin, just to give you a neater finish. They also go along the thing, just gently turning it. You don't want to cut into the pumpkin, you're just taking the extra fluff off the edge. It'll still be fluffy looking because we haven't heavily felted these down, but this just removes any major fluff. We are almost done. Even a little roll round, helps smooth down any edges. And there we have it. A cute needle felted pumpkin. You can see just at the top here where it's been never done, it's starting to show the white through, which gives nice little highlights to it. So as long as you've covered it well, the white only just starts peeking through and it's still very orange there, but it gives a little highlight. We have the same thing at the bottom here. This one has come through a little bit more, so you could choose to cover that. All you'd need to do is grab a little of that spare, pop it on, grab your needle and just gently poke it in and attach. So if white starts showing through, it doesn't matter because you can fix it. That's the fun thing with needle felting, it's really easy just to add a bit more on top to cover anything that might be a little bit misshapen, and then you can just trim off any excess. Okay, so that little white bit's gone now. So I hope you enjoyed that. As I said, I'm open to construct a system on how I can improve because I am very new to doing this, but this is now my 20th pumpkin and I'm absolutely loving them. So I will catch you all later. You take care. Bye.